All right, welcome to the Pace Studios. This is a very special day here. Today is the day that Billy Gibbons is in the studio. Man, thank you so much for coming.
Right.
For coming back. It's great to see you again. I'm really happy that you came back and did this for round two.
I'm glad to be back in this great room. We're surrounded with all the good stuff.
That's right. We've got these guys have been good to us. We tried to light it up as much like David Lynch's, like the Red Room from Twin Peaks as possible.
Yeah.
So. Congratulations are in order. So this is release day, the Big Bad Blues, out right now.
It's hitting the streets as we speak.
Good. So last time we had a chance to talk was in the old Pace Studios in front of those tapes, and that was when Perfectamundo had just come out, and that Afro-Cuban flavored album was a much, much different affair than what's happening on the Big Bad Blues. And can we talk a little bit about what people can expect from it? So there's 11 tracks. It's a mix of originals and covers, and the two covers that I know specifically, those Muddy Waters covers.
Yes.
Rollin' and Tumblin', Standing Around Crying.
Yeah, man. It's back to basics. We did the trip to Havana, we played the Havana Jazz Festival, and Perfectamundo was about as Cubanized as you could expect from from a ZZ Top. We Cubanized, Gibbonized, ZZized, and with the success of that one, John Burke at Concord Records said, "Man," he said, "let's do something else. Would you consider going back to basics?" And I said, "You mean like blues?" He said, "Exactly." I said, "Well," I raised my hand. I said, "That's where we started, and that's where we stand. So, this is what's coming next."
Did you feel like you got the Afro-Cuban-ness out into the world enough after Perfectamundo? And I mean, what aside from John Burke led you to say that you're going to go right back up the middle and play the kind of music that people probably expect from Billy Gibbons, from ZZ Top?
Well, yeah, this is more in the wheelhouse. I don't think there's anybody going to be disappointed that we've picked up the torch and went back to that great American art form. Everybody calls it the blues. Everybody knows it the blues, and probably everybody can feel the blues from the highest of highs to the lowest of lows, and all points in between.
Yeah, and it doesn't take long. I mean, it takes as soon as you put it on in 2 seconds. There's something visceral about the way that music hits me. I'm sure I'm not the only one. There's hundreds of millions of people out there for whom it's accessible. It works right off the bat, and you're such a trusted and amazing songwriter that you know that even though as good as it sounds right off the bat, that it's going to hold up to multiple listenings too. It's the kind of thing that you're going to want to listen to hundreds of times, and there's going to be a new thing to discover every time you listen to it.
Well, that's quite a compliment, and at the same time, we're tapping into something that's gained resonance over time. This peculiar, rather, from the outside looking in, it seems to be simplistic, but it turns out to be a very complex and sophisticated art form, which is now penetrated around the globe. I think it's the human quality. It's in one word, natural.
Yeah, listening to some of the back catalog and thinking, LaGrange, I get that, I can play that, and you pick it up and play it, and it's like, all right, there's a lot going on there. He is an excellent player. We're playing Jesus Just Left Chicago, and there's a lot to those tunes that it does take. You can appreciate it right on the surface, but then as soon as you scratch the surface, there's a lot under there.
Yeah, there's a resonance within the, of course, the blues has been stretched in every direction. I mean, there's one expression after another that takes the form into places unknown, and that's the good news. Keith Richards, he said, "Yeah, man," he said, let's do that blues thing. And I said, "All right, where do you want to start?" He goes, "It's not where you want to start." He said, you got to think, where is it going to stop? And he said, "And it ain't going to stop."
I got to see you guys together at that the John Barbados benefit, that thing at the Beacon. I promise this won't turn into an interview of me just telling everybody the times I've seen you, but I did see it, and it was outstanding with you and Keith and Bill Murray, et cetera. It turned into a very fun show.
Yeah.
So can we talk a little bit about some of the other covers that exist on the album, apart from the two Muddy Waters songs that we talked about? I know there's some Bo Diddley on there. There's
Yeah, that's how it started. We had some sessions booked, and as we entered the studio, lo and behold, our dear friend from Behind the Skins, the greatest session drummer that I've known in a long time, Greg Morrow from Memphis. And he had a couple of days off. He said, do you mind if I drop by? And as soon as he stepped in, he grabbed the drumsticks. Joe Hardy was engineering along with Mr. GLG Main Moon. And unbeknownst to us, we had a couple of days to kind of get things going with the tape rolling and no red light, which is funny because after 3 days, Joe said, hey, why don't we listen to some of the stuff we've been doing? I said, well, how do you figure? He goes, oh, I forgot to tell you, we've had the tape recorder going the whole time. So from those humble beginnings, just playing the stuff that we usually default to, Jimmy Reed, B.B. King, Albert King, Freddie King, Albert Collins, J.B. Hutto, you name it. There was some of our blues giant champions, Muddy Waters, and of course Bo Diddley, the man with the guitar plan who probably came from Mars, but we really liked what direction it was taking because it was kind of free and easy, and that's the way the ball was rolling down Blues Avenue. So we kept it without interruption. It just kept going.
Well, it sounds amazing. I've had a chance to dive into it a little bit, and I'm looking forward to diving deeper because, like we were saying, I have no doubt that there's a lot under the surface there.
Well, there's something to that, and I think the key word is L-O-U-D. Play it loud. It comes across. It's fun.
Can we? So the genesis of this album. I mean, last time we talked a little bit about the way the Perfectamundo came together, which you alluded to earlier, also. But can you tell about the way that the loud playing of the Big Bad Blues that sounded like it really? That was maybe the moment that it sort of gelled and became and took off and became a real project.
I think it's the genius of the two engineers, Mr. Moon and Mr. Hardy. And they were not going to let red light fever encroach upon the good times that were being had in the studio. And plus you got a legion of friends that popped in. Mike Flanagan was passing through. He stepped away from his usual B3, which is unusual. Mike started off as a guitar player and got curious about this Hammond B3 organ. Once he mastered that, he said, yeah, I don't do piano except for now. James Harmon was in from California. He was blowing harmonica like nobody's business. Of course, Matt Sorum, I borrowed him. His legacy goes way back, Guns N' Roses, Velvet Revolver, even back to the Cult. And man, he can pound out the backbeat like nobody's business. He is fierce, he's ferocious, but he's really a focused kind of guy. So we had Greg Morrow on drums, then he passed the sticks on to Matt Sorum, Austin Hanks, Austin Left Hand Hanks, he's in there doing his weird Jimi Hendrix, Albert King, upside down and backwards thing. Elwood Francis, our guitar tech, said, yeah, he said, let me play guitar. If you need, I'll blow a little harmonica. But it was a well-rounded group, and again, coming back to that notion of no worries, you don't have to worry about the recording light. It was invisible, and we just kind of breezed through it straight through.
So of those guys who appear on the album, is that the group that you're taking out with you? Who's touring this album with you?
Well, I was fortunate enough to snag Matt Sorum. He's going to stand on the drum kit. Austin Hanks is going to be on the right. His guitar goes this way, my guitar goes that way, and we got Matt Sorum in the middle. So there's this vortex of madness. It's pretty skinny lineup, but I think it's safe to say that it's blues approved. 2 guitars and drums, but it's not lacking on the bottom end, which brings up something that you're familiar with.
Oh, yeah.
Andy Alt's crazy guitar pickup. It's a replacement for a humbugging pickup that has the intuitive nature of being able to detect the bottom strings of a guitar and shoving them down 1 octave below. And now the new version, the Little Thunder 2, combines 1 octave below and 2 octaves below. But it's robust. It is a lo-fi freight train.
They were, I feel like we should get into a little bit for guitar geeks right now, because that's got to be a lot of who's watching this right now and who is going to see it in the future. So the difference, if I understand it correctly, and tell me if I'm wrong, but the difference between the 1 and the 2 was your input on it, right? Where you said that there's a specific part where that Little Thunder cuts, it gives you 2 octave below whatever bottom 3 note you're playing, and then at some point there was a cutoff where you wanted it to go from 2 octaves to 1 octave. Am I anywhere near telling the truth right now?
That is correct. That is correct. In the lower register, when you encounter 30 hertz, which is way, way down in the basement, it's not that the amplifier can't reproduce it. It becomes a problem for speakers. And my goal was to assign Andy and his team to figure out how to put a high-pass filter in the mix, which is not so easy to do. But being the brainiacs that they are, they skinnied it up through the lower 8 notes. You've got B-flat, you've got, all the way down, B-flat, A, G-sharp, G, F sharp, F, E, and if you're tuning down to D, it goes down. But everything gets manageable, which was no easy task. I mean, they conquered the challenge of doing just that. But man, when you hear this thing, it works. It's rather magical to have the beefcake sound of that low-end rumble.
Sure.
You don't want to give it up. Once you feel it, you're hooked.
Well, I'm looking forward to it. I know that the Big Bad Blues tour, you're starting off on October 13th in Iowa, and then you're coming back here October 30th and 31st. You'll be at the Iridium. I will be at the Iridium. Probably everybody in this room, will be at the Iridium. So
Halloween night, my favorite night to go out. It's the one night. Dude, you look just like ZZ Top, man. Great costume. It's my favorite night to go out.
I got Hacksaw Jim Duggan the other day. Mostly Zach Galifianakis. Hacksaw Jim Duggan was a new one for me, but I've never gotten you. Did have a beard down to there last time we met. I had to cut it off since it got too hot.
We've been offered to cut these things off. Well, Dusty Hill, the fearless bass player in ZZ Top, and I mirror his 2-foot chin whisk. We've yet to figure out, after all these decades together, how did it come? Frank Beard, the clean-shaven member of the band, we don't know.
Yeah, the one that can eat cereal and soup with no trouble.
That's right. We still got things in here. Well, we don't know what's in there.
So the tour wraps up on October. That's not true. I didn't write it, and now I can't remember. I know it wraps at some point in November. It was in Hollywood, right? It's the last date.
Yeah, West Hollywood, California. We'll be at Doug Weston's Troubadour, right there at the corner of Santa Monica and Doheny, and that promises to be a kind of a launching pad to the next series of dates. They're talking about taking this act over to Europe. It could extend. I've got one detour at the end of December, the 28th and 29th. I'm rejoining another rather interesting outfit called The Jungle Show, and that takes place in Austin, Texas, at Antone's Blues Club. I'll be joining Jimmy Vaughn on guitar, the great Sue Foley. She is a wicked blues player on her pink Telecaster. Mike Flanagan handles the B3 works. Chris Layton on drums. It makes for a really robust evening, and it's all the blues you can use, and then some.
Well, man, thank you so much for stopping by here and spending another afternoon with us at Paste. I appreciate it very much. And next time we're going to see you. We'll see you on round 3, if not before. We'll definitely see you at the Iridium. And man, thanks again so much for coming by. The Big Bad Blues is the album. It's out today, so congratulations on the album. And I'm looking forward to diving into it further.
Yeah, the Big Bad Blues. It is big. It is bad. It is bluesy. And when we step away from the camera, we want to say thanks to everybody to tune in and give us a dig. I'm taking you, and you're taking me. We're going to go find the rest of those tape vaults.
Absolutely. There's some J.B. Hutto up there. It'll show you exactly where it is. There's some the last show that John Coltrane ever played in 1966.
Let's go do it.
The tape's right there. Man, thanks again. All right.
BFG saying have mercy.
All right. Thank you. All right.
Yeah.
Man, thanks for doing this.